Welcome visitor, my name is Declan and I'm pleased to offer you the ninth part of the WoW Player's Diary. Casual Storm Ulduar. Your raids were put on pause on July, largely because July is common vacation month in Europe. This felt familiar. When I did an internship in Denmark, it seemed like half of the country took off for a month. Despite this official break, the joint 25-man runs involving our guild and two others continued. The 25-player Naxxramas runs remained the main hangout, and our recurring stumbling block was the Thaddeus. Previously we'd wiped because people ran wrong way during polarity shifts. Now, in one particular run, we simply lacked of the damage. Everyone stayed alive though both attempts, but we wiped anyway because the boss hit his enraged timer. Since the raid time was ending, we decided to wrap up and call it a night. Although we had some success working as a team, that raid was also marked by unpleasant incident, naturally revolving around the loot. A month earlier, the guild leadership had introduced a guideline for loot distribution. Well, basically you could roll on any item that suited your class, but if you want something, it was considered good etiquette to pass on the next comparable item drop. This wasn't a strict rule, but everyone was encouraged not to be greedy, helping the whole raid get geared faster, which benefited our relatively stable group. The problem started on a Black Quarter. One of our druids began rolling on almost everything that was even a minor upgrade for him, ignoring the guideline completely. Then one of our officers politely reminded him of the etiquette in the guild chat. He feigned ignorance, basically saying, "I don't understand what's the problem." After he ignored the request again while rolling on loot from Patchwork, the officer issued a stern warning, especially since this involved a contested healer item that others were patiently waiting for. After Grobolus, the story repeated itself and the guild chat exploded. The guy was promptly kicked from both raid and the guild. So yeah, a sad story about loot drama. August arrived and the more active progression raiders were preparing to storm the next raid tier. After the holiday break towards the end of July, our combined group finally decided to give Ulduar a try. So, a little bit, well, not in time. Well, our first attempt was successful, netting us victories over Flame Leviathan, XT-002 Deconstructor and Kologarn. We downed all three on the first try, though Kologarn managed to take out half of the raid before failing. Auraya, the cat lady, gave us much harder time, and after 3 wipes, the raid leader called it for the night. The second evening was also productive. Razor Scale didn't pose significant problems, but the fight against Ignis the Furnace Master was tough, though arguably the most interesting encounter we'd seen so far. After 5 or 6 wipes, we managed to get him down to about 60% health before raid time ran out. Our second weekly lockout, we cleared the bosses we'd already mastered very quickly, and we had to sweat a little on Ignis and Auraya again, after which we decided skip the Iron Council and went straight to Hodir. Here the first 6 bosses of Ulduar were comparable in difficulty to the final bosses of the Naxxramas Wings. Hodir felt like a boss in a different league entirely. This was probably the first truly serious raid encounter I experienced in the game so far. It demanded good raid-wide coordination and high individual awareness. Plus, the fight was dynamic, unlike static DPS checks like Patchwork or Lothep, where you just executed your rotation. Well, I mean DPS. We eventually managed to defeat Hodir, but by then the release of patch 3.2 and BlizzCon 209 were just around the corner. The Path 3.2 Watershed. The debate about difficulty of the game started heating up after the Burning Crusade release. It's classic holy war topic. Players from different eras argue endlessly about when the grass was greener. And some point of the to Wrath of the Lich King as an expansion where Blizzard took a significant step towards scattering the casuals, thereby starting to kill the game. However, despite the relative ease of the revamped Naxxramas, the first half of the Rapture of the Lich King, particularly with Ulduar challenging hard modes, wasn't exactly casual friendly. The real watershed moment, arguably, was the Path 3.2. Before this path, the endgame progression philosophy in WoW largely mirrored the structure established in Vanilla. Raid tiers were meant to be tackled sequentially. A fresh level up player generally had to progress through the tiers. In Vanilla, this might look like Upper Blackrock Spire, Zul'Gurub - Molten Core - Onyxia, then Blackwing Lair, then Temple of Ankh-Rush 40-man version, and original Naxxramas. Someone hitting level 60 couldn't expect to jump straight into Blackwing Lair within a month. The sequential approach mostly persisted through the Burning Crusade and early Wrath of the Lich King. Before Path 3.2, a new level 80 typically had to run heroic dungeons, then gear up in Naxxramas, before realistically hoping to join an Ulduar raid. Path 3.2 radically changed the emblem system. Suddenly, emblems of conquest, dropping from all raid bosses including Naxx and Ulduar and heroic dungeons, could buy item level 226 gear, equivalent to tier 8.5 from Ulduar hard modes. Furthermore, the new emblems of triumph, earned from new Trial of the Crusader raid dungeon and daily heroic quests, allowed players to purchase the entire tier 9 raid set. This effectively let players bypass earlier raid tiers and gear up almost entirely through badges and newest, relatively simple raid. On one hand, this was beneficial for newcomers or players leveling their third or fourth out, allowing them to catch up more quickly. On the other hand, Path 3.2 essentially became the gravedigger for the content released before it. While few shed tears for Naxxramas becoming obsolete again, seeing Ulduar relegated so quickly felt like a huge loss. Ulduar was an incredible instance, 14 bosses engaging hard modes, stunning design, compelling lore, that could easily have remained relevant content for 9 months or more, but the new emblem system and raid tier rendered it largely skippable. For PvP fans, the patch introduced the new 40 vs 40 battleground, the Isolon Conquest, offering large-scale chaotic get-together. But the most impactful changes were undeniably in the PvE side. Other major 3.2 changes: mount costs and speed. The first mount became available at level 20 for a few pennies. The basic epic flying skill, previously level 70, 6% speed upgrade, was moved to level 60 and boosted to 150% speed, making the old budget epic flyer much better. Player convenience was once again prioritized. Raid lock extensions. A significant change allowed raid groups to extend their instance lockout for another week. This was huge for many guilds, especially casuals or semi-hardcore ones that might spend 1 or 2 nights progressing through Ulduar, perhaps reaching the keepers but not clearing them. Instead of spending the next week clearing already defeated bosses, they could extend the lockout and focus attempts on later bosses. Loot trading. A small but impactful change allowed items accidentally looted by the wrong person or common issue then handing out elephants with Master Looter to be traded to another eligible raid member within 2-hour window. While helpful for fixing mistakes, this also fueled the market for commercial gold DKP or loot selling raids run by enterprising GMs. Trial of the Crusader TOC. Construction finally was finished on the Argent Tournament grounds, and the Crusaders Colosseum now stood complete. Inside, however, the design was arguably one of the most primitive and dull in WoW history. Just a large, sparsely decorated round room with a few key NPCs. This single room housed both a 5-player dungeon, Trial of the Champion, and 10-25 player raid, Trial of the Crusader, each with normal and heroic difficulties. There was virtually no trash aside from initial mounted combat phase in 5-player dungeon. The instance structure was simple: fight waves of enemies or bosses in the center of the arena. Loot from the normal 5-man was comparable to old heroics. Heroic 5-man loot matched Ulduar 10 normal. The raid dropped gear significantly better than even Ulduar hard modes. The Colosseum quickly became a farm zone. Fresh 80s could rapidly gear up in 5-player versions and collect emblems from daily quests and older heroics. It was obvious to the naked eye that Blizzard was fast-tracking as many players as possible towards gear levels suitable for expansion's grand final, Icecrown Citadel. Two big announcements. The summer of 209 was buzzing in the WoW community. Two major news items dominated discussions: their Warcraft movie and a next expansion. In July, an official blue post announced Sam Raimi, director of Spider-Man 1 and 3 and Evil Dead, had been hired to direct the Warcraft movie. Blizzard and Legendary Pictures expressed confidence in Raimi's passion for the universe and his ability to create a film appealing for both gamers and non-gamers. Well, of course, the film development saga dragged for another 8 years, involving director changes, finally releasing in June 216. Back in 209, however, the news about the third WoW expansion generated far more immediate excitement. As often happens, it started with rumors. In late June, news surfaced that Blizzard had trademarked the name Cataclysm. Fan forums immediately lit up with speculation, a favorite pastime when current content feels solved. While theories emerged like Ashara ruling the world, empowering the Emerald Nightmare, leading to underwater exploration between small islands. These theories were often jokingly attributed to reliable sources like cleaning lady finding design documents or pizza delivery guy cousin. While such rumors were usually taken with a grain of salt, things unfolded differently this time. In early August, WoW Insider, a major fan site, leaked information about two potential new races, Worgen and Goblins. Rumors also surfaced about world-changing event, altering the existing continents. But the biggest leak was still to come. At mid-August, just a week before BlizzCon 209, the website WoW Champion published incredibly detailed information about the Cataclysm expansion. Skepticism remained, but then Blizzard made the official announcement, and BlizzCon, virtually all the leaked details were confirmed. Like, the old world will be drastically changed by return of Deathwing. The level cap would increase to 85. Two new playable races, Goblins, Horde and Worgen Alliance. A new secondary progression, Archaeology. Ramped classic dungeons. New raid content. And the cherry on a cake, the Path of the Titans, presented as new form of high-level character progression. Though this feature was later scrapped. The announcement caused a massive stir. Cataclysm arguably became the most anticipated expansions in WoW history. Looking back, the period between spring 209 and, roughly 211 feels like a peak of WoW popularity and cultural relevance. The battle against the Lich King, Azeroth's main antagonist since Warcraft 3, was finally on the horizon, and the promised innovations and the world-shattering plot of Cataclysm generated immense enthusiasm. It was during this time the WoW subscriber base reached its historical peak, hovering around 11 or 12 million players. World of Warcraft was the undisputed king of Western market MMOs. It truly felt like a golden time. As following years demonstrated, the throne and the king proved impossible for competitors. For a long time, Star Wars The Old Republic was considered the most likely challenger. It had the backing of the massive IP, Star Wars, a legendary developer, BioWare, and a record-breaking budget. Nevertheless, this game did not take off anywhere near WoW levels, also it was generally considered an worthy MMO. Other potential rivals fared even more modestly. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for your attention. If you liked this video, well, thumbs ups. If you didn't subscribe on my channel, so please do so, because the continuation of this series will be continue. So thank you for your attention, and always yours, Declan.